In the book of John, John records a series of signs, miracles, but he doesn't call them miracles, he calls them signs. And whereas a miracle is something not humanly possible, not naturally possible, supernatural going on, a sign is a specific thing. A sign points you to something, right? A sign on the side of the road that says garage sale this way. It tells you where to go. In the same way, a sign, a miracle, points you to something that is wanting to be seen. And John is wanting us to see the deity of Jesus Christ. In John 20, verses 30-31, he says that he has wrote these things down. I'm Texan. He has written these things down so that we may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. And so John is very big that we understand Jesus is divine. And the very first sign that Jesus performs is water into wine. And there's three basic things we learn from this. First off, he comes to the lowly. He comes to the humble. Jesus doesn't appear and start his earthly ministry in palaces and in the temple. He comes to a little wedding feast in a small village in the backwater region of Israel. So here he is in Cana of Galilee, a place no one's really thinking of if they even know where it is on a map. But here he shows up and there's a need and a miracle is performed. But the miracle is that they take these water pots, these big clay stone water pots, and he says fill them with water. And they fill them with water, and when they dip it out, the water turns into wine. But these pots, they're used for ritual cleansing, for purification, that the Jews would have washed themselves in these pots according to the law. And so what we see going on here is Jesus takes what is old, the old way, the old law. The new covenant is coming. And so you have the old purification water pot symbolizing the old covenant, and the wine symbolizing the new covenant in his blood. Whenever he says at the Last Supper, "This is my blood shed for you." But then, thirdly, we have that Jesus, or that John rather, makes a point to say that Jesus' glory was manifested, that he manifested his glory. And this statement of manifested glory is used in the Old Testament to describe when God shows up and does something for his people. And so here we see a phrase about God being attributed to Jesus. And so John is very clearly saying, this is God. This is God. Accept him. This is God. Okay, so what? So we see that Jesus is God, that he comes to the humble, to the lowly. The old is passing away. The new covenant is coming. That's great head knowledge, but what does it have to do with us? Because the fact is that if Jesus is indeed God, then what he says is truth, and it is of the utmost importance. And you have to ask yourself, as you read the Bible, the Word of God, what are you going to do with it? Because if the words of Jesus are the words of God, you cannot leave them alone. It's some of the most important things you've ever read. What are you going to do with them?